right, so get this right. Picture 1990.
Yeah.
Okay? Like, shoulder pads are totally in, the Berlin Wall's coming down, like the whole world's kind of holding its breath, big changes happening.
Yeah.
You know, and that is where our deep dive begins today.
Okay.
You send over some super fascinating stuff about Hubble,
Yeah.
especially like its impact on culture, you know, back in the 90s. So let's like zoom in on that. What do you think?
Well, it's interesting, right? Because Hubble, the timing of its launch, it really just fit into that historical moment.
Okay.
You've got the U.S., they just came out of the Cold War,
Right.
and they're looking for a way to kind of like flex a little, show off their tech.
Yeah.
Hubble wasn't just a telescope, right? It was like this really expensive, very public, hey, look what we can do.
It's like, hey, world, check this out. But like on a cosmic scale, this wasn't just some like random Tuesday launch buried in a science journal or something.
Not at all. I mean, the sources really highlight how different things were back then, especially the media, cable TV, the internet, both kind of still babies, really.
Yeah.
And they created this huge appetite for like educational content. People were like ready to be wowed by science,
They were primed.
And Hubble, I mean, it was ready to deliver on that.
Yeah. And wow, did it ever... Those first images, right?
Oh, yeah.
Distant galaxies, the detail, it was like, I don't know, the scale of it all. Like looking back in time, it must have just blown everyone's mind.
And I think that's a good way to put it.
Right.
And those images, they weren't just, stuck in labs and observatories.
No.
Newspapers, TV, I mean, they were everywhere. Even inspired fashion trends, I think I read somewhere.
Oh, wow.
It was science, but like mainstream.
Yeah.
I don't think we'd seen that before. Not really.
Yeah. And it wasn't just like pretty pictures,
Right.
The sources mention this surge in people getting excited about science again.
Definitely.
Especially young people.
We've got this one story, right, about this high schooler.
Okay.
And they see Hubble's images of the Eagle Nebula, the pillars of creation,
yeah.
So they see those, and they're so blown away by it that they decide to study, get this, astrophysics.
Wow.
That's the power of this stuff.
Yeah.
Making science, like, real, something you can actually get into.
It's like that feeling when you're a kid, staring up at the stars, just like full of wonder. But Hubble, it made that wonder into a job. Like, this is what I want to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm curious, though, because mega projects like this, they don't just happen. There had to have been some hiccups along the way, right?
Oh, yeah, totally. In fact, one of the sources mentioned that Hubble's launch, like the actual launch, was delayed.
Really?
Yeah, for years.
No way.
Budget problems, technical stuff.
Oh, man.
For a while there, it seemed like, it might never actually leave the ground.
Oh, can you imagine the pressure? Years of work, millions, probably billions by then of dollars just poured into this thing. And it's like stuck on Earth because... I don't know, somebody lost the keys or something.
It's incredible, right?
Yeah.
And then, of course, you've got, the mirror.
The mirror, right? The infamous faulty mirror.
Yeah. The first images, do you remember?
Oh, yeah.
Blurry.
Out of focus. A little embarrassing, right?
Yeah, well, turns out there was a flaw in the mirror itself.
Right.
A tiny miscalculation, but enough to almost ruin the whole mission.
Wow. Talk about a cosmic oops, right?
Yeah, you could say that.
They had to send astronauts up there to fix it, right? In space.
They did. It's actually pretty amazing.
Yeah.
The engineers had designed Hubble with like in-space servicing in mind.
Wow.
Which was practically unheard of back then.
So forward-thinking.
But the pressure on that repair team, I mean, come on.
I know, right?
They were literally fixing like the world's most powerful eye in the universe. No big deal.
And thank goodness they did. Can you imagine if they hadn't? If Hubble had just become this like giant expensive reminder of, we almost had it.
Almost makes you shudder, right?
Yeah, a little bit.
But instead we got this like incredible story of, I don't know, human ingenuity.
Perseverance.
Yeah, like coming together to solve a problem and not giving up. And it really speaks to something else the sources highlight too, this idea of Hubble's legacy, right? Pushing those boundaries, like technological boundaries.
So you're telling me this thing launched when most people were still trying to figure out dial-up, paved the way for James Webb. That just blows my mind.
It's really a straight line from one to the other.
Yeah.
Hubble showed what we could do, right? That we could build these incredible instruments, maintain them in space, and that gave scientists the confidence, and let's be real, the funding to, dream even bigger.
It's not just about the discoveries Hubble made then, but like laying the groundwork for even more down the line.
Exactly. And, one of the most remarkable things about it,
What's that?
it wasn't even designed to last this long.
Really?
It was only supposed to be like 15 years, tops.
And here it is, still going strong after 3 decades.
Yeah.
Talk about exceeding expectations. What's the secret? How is that even possible?
Well, part of it is, that in-space servicing that we were talking about.
Right.
Astronauts have visited Hubble a bunch of times over the years.
Yeah.
Upgraded instruments, given it, like, a tune-up.
Like a space garage.
Exactly. But it's more than just that.
Okay, so what else has kept this thing relevant for so long?
The data.
What about it?
It's still amazing. Even with all the newer telescopes, the James Webb and all, Hubble's unique.
Yeah.
It's in this perfect spot, and its instruments, they're still perfect for gathering data that astronomers need.
So it's like that old reliable tool in your toolbox.
Mm-hmm.
The one you just can't bring yourself to throw away because it still works.
That's a great way to put it.
Right.
And because it keeps going, because it's so reliable, Hubble, it's been part of some seriously huge astronomical discoveries.
Like what?
Measuring the expansion rate of the universe, for one.
Whoa.
Confirming supermassive black holes.
How away?
It's like the greatest hits of space discoveries,
It's incredible to think, like, where would we even be in our understanding of the universe if it hadn't been for Hubble?
Right.
And yet, for all of its scientific importance, for everything it's discovered, it's also captured the public imagination.
Mm-hmm.
Like, in a way that any other scientific instruments ever have.
Absolutely. It's one thing to, do the research, make the discoveries, but Hubble, it's about how those discoveries are shared, how they connect with people.
And speaking of connecting with people, we have got to talk about the impact it's had on pop culture.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I mean, this thing was everywhere. Documentaries, movies, sitcoms, like Big Bang Theory even. Hubble's like a celebrity.
Totally.
Why do you think that is?
I think, honestly, it's because those images are just so accessible.
Yeah.
We talked about how they were in the newspapers, on TV. Suddenly, the universe wasn't just this, like, abstract concept, stuck in textbooks. It was right there, in your living room, in full color, completely mind-blowing.
It's true. It's like we went from those grainy black and white photos of the moon landing to seeing galaxies billions of years old in, like, full HD.
And people were hooked. I mean, who wouldn't be?
I know, I was.
Those images, they became like, I don't know, cultural touchstones, People use them as screensavers, put them on T-shirts, even got like Hubble tattoos.
Oh, way!
Oh, yeah. Science was suddenly everywhere.
So what we have here is this incredible instrument, right?
Yeah.
It's changed how we understand the universe.
Totally.
It's inspired like generations of scientists.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's even ended up on T-shirts.
That's Hubble for you.
That is quite a legacy.
And it's not over yet.
It's not.
No, not at all. We're moving into this whole new era of space exploration now, right?
We are.
James Webb is already out there, sending back even more incredible stuff. Hubble's influence, like its impact on all of this, it's only going to get bigger.
Wow. It's amazing to think that something launched in the time of cassette tapes and, shoulder pads is still shaping how we see the universe. Makes you wonder, what will be the Hubble moment, of our generation? What's out there that we haven't even imagined yet? It's kind of wild to think just a few decades back, we're looking at those old moon landing pictures, all grainy and stuff. And now, thanks to Hubble, we're practically on a first-name basis with galaxies, like billions of light years away. Crazy, right?
It really shows you how fast we're learning about the universe. And Hubble's been there every step of the way, making us see farther, think bigger.
As we're wrapping up this Hubble deep dive, I keep coming back to that, how it's changed, how we see ourselves, our place in it all. It's one thing to read about how huge space is, but to actually see it, that's different. The beauty of it, kind of scary too,
You're right. The sources talked about that shift in perspective Hubble caused. Before, the universe was this abstract thing, like almost a storybook thing. Fascinating, but not really, real.
And Hubble made it real. Those pictures, all the detail, nebulae, galaxies colliding, the sheer size of everything, like looking out a window into another dimension, almost.
And that's what made it different, I think. More than any other science project at the time, it wasn't just data and numbers. It was about, like, capturing people's imagination,
I got people talking about science who never had before. Arguments, late-night talks, wondering if we're alone out here, if someone's looking back at us. Big questions, right?
And those conversations are still going. Hubble might be getting close to the end, But the questions it made us ask, the wonder it sparked, that's its real legacy.
It's like that quote, we're all made of star stuff. Sagan, right? But Hubble showed us that star stuff up close. It made the connection between us, tiny little us, and all that's out there a bit less mysterious somehow.
That's powerful. And now, with James Webb sending back even more incredible stuff, Hubble's influence, it's going to keep going for generations.
So to wrap up, what's going to be your generation's Hubble moment? You listening. What'll make you question everything you thought you knew? Keep looking up, keep asking those questions, because who knows what's waiting to be discovered out there, right?